Good evening. Welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we're here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. I want to thank you all my new subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for making this a reality for me. I am in awe, and I just want to say thank you. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. All right, Big Brother live feeds the last 24 hours. Actually, probably the last 48 hours. I took yesterday off. It was a slow day. Wasn't a whole lot going on. I needed to decompress and get away from the computer for a little while. So I am well rested and ready to go. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. Can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Alright, we're gonna pick up where we left off. The first conversation I see is between Brittany and Alyssa. And Brittany is talking about making a final two with Alyssa. And I'm like, what the hell did I miss? I don't know if she actually means it or if she's just covering all of her bases in case whoever wins HOH Thursday. Because they're all suspecting that it may be a double. They say if it's not this week, it'll be next week. So they're all anticipating that. And then she goes to talk to Turner. And she said, we can't beat Michael or Alyssa and Taylor in the final two. She also said she would want to sit next to Terrence or Turner. She's gone through the scenarios to see who she might win against. This is what I'm talking about with Brittany as far as having conversations. I know what she wants them to look like in her head, but they don't look like that. So she basically goes to Turner and says, I've went through the entire cast, and you're the only one that I think I have a shot at beating in the end. So let's make a final two. I'm not kidding y'all. That's about how it went down. She said, if we do this, I know there's certain shots that I can't take, and there's certain shots that you can't take. And we can discuss that, and we can figure out who's going to take what shots. And Turner said yes, because your best friends could beat everyone in the end. He also says he thinks he could win against Alyssa. Brittany says she thinks Alyssa has the votes to win. They go over that number. And Turner says, I hope everyone sees what's going on and realize that we're playing for second, third, and fourth at this point. So they're talking in a lot of riddles, but basically they're saying the same thing. Neither one of them can win as long as Michael's in the game. And I'm thinking, what the hell has happened? So that ended the feeds for Sunday night. So this morning, the first thing you see is Brittany and Michael in the storage room. And Brittany's filling Michael in on this conversation. And I'm like, whew. I thought I was losing my mind. She tells him everything that was said between her and Turner. And says, you know, you're the only one that knows that I'm making these final twos with everyone just to cover our bases. And to see if I can get information as far as if they would go after Michael or not. So she says, you're the only one that knows I'm having these conversations. So I'm glad that I told you in advance so that somebody doesn't come running to you and tell you this and then you start doubting me. So I was like, all right, this makes more sense. She says, nobody thinks that I have a final two with you. And everybody thinks that they can't beat you. Michael said, I think we need to have a conversation with people today and see if we can tell who's lying. Okay, now I think Brittany is baiting everyone to see what kind of information that she can get. And I think that her goal is to try to make a big move this week against either Monty or Turner. because she knows that those are the two likely ones to win the next HOH. Brittany, Alyssa, and Taylor talk about how they can get to the final three. They say that Michael will take a shot at Turner and Monty, and Turner and Monty will take a shot at Michael if they just sit back and let it play out. They say that as soon as Michael doesn't win the veto, he's gone, no matter who's in power, and they all know that. Alright, last night's episode. Quickly, just to recap, the zings. For Turner, it says, you used to be a van lifer. It seems you've been everywhere but the shower. Michael, with all that's going on in the world, there's no zinging guidelines. Masks are now optional, unless your face looks like Michael's. Monty, I hear you're good at impressions. In fact, I've been working on mine. Are you ready? I'm Monty, and I'm so boring. Taylor, I heard that Big Brother Backyard was hot, but this is brutal. I could really use something icy and cold. Can I borrow your Taylor? Terrence, oh my God, it's DJ Showtime. You are so popular in the underground because that's where they find fossils. Alyssa, when I see you, I can't help but think of a heavy winter coat in the desert. Dead weight and useless. That was brutal. Brittany, I have a song for you. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? No, seriously, where did you get those effing eyes? Those crazy effing eyes, sorry. Alright, remember we talked about editing and how Big Brother edits their shows for TV. The segment that we saw with the guided meditation with Brittany and Alyssa, that happened weeks ago. That was when Alyssa and Terrence were working out with Monty, lifting weights, and they both hurt their back. So if you're looking at this show last night, you're thinking this just happened. But it didn't. It happened weeks ago, and they threw it in this episode. I can't with the edits. Alright, back to the live feeds. Terrence talks with Michael and lays out Alyssa's jury votes. And he has a very much different energy with Michael today than he had yesterday. Yesterday it was all threats, holier than thou. Y'all aren't playing the game. Y'all are stupid. Y'all don't see what's going on. All of this crap. And today, not so much. I guess he's had time to sleep on it. He realizes he's staying on the block. So now he's going to start campaigning. And his campaign is all going to be about Alyssa and the jury votes that she has in the jury already. And that she could win by a landslide no matter who she was up against. So Michael starts having one-on-ones with everyone today just to see where their heads are at and see if he can gauge who's telling him the truth and who's not. He checks in with the remainder of the leftovers to see if everyone's on the same page. I honestly think he's gauging the conversations, but that's what he says he's doing when he calls them all in. So Michael's conversation with Taylor. Michael asks about if she's talked to Alyssa, and she says yeah, but she doesn't want to make any promises to Alyssa. She doesn't want to make any promises that she can't keep. She said, so Michael knows about the plan between Taylor, Alyssa, and Brittany. And he's in on it because he figures he can go Final Four with those three. And he has no problem at all winning over any of them. So he's okay with this. He's like encouraging it almost. He's telling Alyssa, talk to Taylor, talk to Brittany. He's telling Taylor, have you talked to Alyssa? And she says, if we can get Terrence out this week, Turner would be the next to go as far as I'm concerned. He's the next biggest threat. Yada, yada, yada. We all know Michael's the biggest threat. But we also know that if they attach themselves to Michael and he wins out, they're staying in. And the others will be leaving. So they're keeping Michael close to their vest. Turner and Michael meet. And Turner said he's still down for taking out Terrence this week. And if he wins next week, he's going to take out Alyssa. And then Turner very nervously tells Michael about the conversation that he had with Brittany. He told him everything, which Michael already knew because Brittany had already told him what she said. So it was a good thing that they were on the same page, because if not, that would have made Michael start doubting Brittany. Turner said, everyone's talking about taking you out, but I think we can work together. Turner said that if you go home, they're going to be looking at the next biggest target, which is going to be me and Monty. And that's true. If they get out Michael, I believe Turner's next, and then I believe Monty. Because the girls are going to want to get out their competition. He said, me and you and Monty could trade HOHs the rest of the season. There's only 3 more HOHs left. And he says, we can take turns and get out everybody else. And Michael said, I trust Brittany to a certain extent, but it's not lost on me that she's a super fan. And it would be crazy for her to come in here and say that she's okay with winning second place. And then everybody on Twitter is losing their minds. It had me questioning what I had watched. I went back and watched everything again. Because they're saying, oh, Brittany outed the Girls Alliance and now everybody's after Taylor. I didn't see anything on there that led me to believe that they were after Taylor. If you guys have something and you have a certain timestamp you can give me, I'd appreciate it, because I went back and looked at all the conversations and I can't find anything that says that the guys are going after Taylor. What I did see was the guys talking about going after Alyssa, because they said if they take Alyssa out, then that breaks up the threesome for the girls. And so that wouldn't even be a question. But I didn't see anything about them saying they were going after Taylor. And what's funny is you can tell that they haven't watched all of the live feeds, because they will know that everything that Brittany told Turner, she told Michael as a ruse to get information. She said, this is what I told him. I'm trying to get information. I'm trying to see if he's going to be going after you. Oh, yeah. But everybody on Twitter's losing their damn mind that Taylor's all of a sudden in trouble. And I don't see it. Brittany is still pushing for Turner. She wants Turner out this week. She has done everything except for come right out and tell Michael, you need to take somebody down and put Turner up. But she just keeps saying, if Turner wins HOH next week, he could put you up. And I would hate to be sitting there next week and know that you could have done something about it this week. Things like that. And she's still pushing heavily for Turner to be out. Michael says that he's not going back on his promise. He said, I made a promise to Turner and I won't go back on it. He said, I'm already in trouble with the house guest for the whole Kyle thing. And he's like, if I go back on my word and take Turner out, Taylor's going to be mad at me. Monty's going to be mad at me. Terrence is still going to be here and be mad at me. He said, I will not go back on a promise. Turner talks to Monty outside and he pitches the whole idea of working with Michael. And Monty said he's down with working together. He also says, okay, maybe Monty said something about Taylor, because I'm just seeing this. Monty says Taylor then Alyssa goes to jury, and that they're more likely to win. So I guess Monty did bring up Taylor, but Monty's brought up Taylor since the very beginning. So maybe that's the statement everybody's flipping out about. Monty says, but what happens if Michael doesn't win the veto? Do we take that shot? Do we really want a final three with Michael? So they're going back and forth. I don't know at this point. Everybody's lying to everybody. And it's very hard to gauge where everybody is actually at, because depending on who they're talking to, they're saying something different. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. So Michael, Monty, and Turner talk about working together and going forward. Monty says, so what do we do this week? If we're thinking there's an all-girls alliance, Alyssa's already on the block, why don't we just vote Alyssa out instead of Terrence? That takes away a number from Brittany and Taylor, and they're more likely to work with us. He said, just a thought. Michael said, we have to have some conversations to fill out the girls to see if they'll give pushback if we start talking about voting out Alyssa. So it sounds like they're all in, but I have to say this was the weakest alliance starting I've ever seen in my life. There wasn't a whole lot of energy, like, oh yeah, let's go do this thing. Michael's on the bed, Turner was on one couch, Monty was on the other couch, and when they got through, they're just like, okay, so I don't think we need an alliance name, because all the alliance names have been really stupid this year, and don't really think we need them, so, oh yeah, we're all in, and they all did this, high five. And all from where they were sitting, it wasn't, to me, it just didn't seem as if Monty was actually all in with working with the three of them. I think Turner was. And like I said, Turner's had some good game moves this year, at least in his head, until somebody else gets to him and changes his opinion, because he is very easily influenced. So I don't know if they're going to actually work together going forward or not. Thursday night will be the test. Because they have a double eviction. They think it is a double eviction, but they're not sure. But Thursday night, I think we're going to find out where everybody's cards are at the moment. I think the first one to go home is still going to be Terrence. And then that second HOH, that's going to be telling. Turner talks to Alyssa to feel her out and see how she's feeling about everything. She said she feels good with Brittany and so with Taylor. She said Taylor tells her she wouldn't be her target, but she doesn't tell her she wouldn't put her up. And of course, Terrence's pitch is coming out to everybody right now, and it's all about Alyssa and the numbers that she has in the jury. And then he's working everybody through, depending on who he's talking to. Say for Taylor instance, he's saying, all right, Taylor, if you're sitting next to Monty, these are the votes. If you're sitting next to Michael, these are the votes. If you're sitting next to Brittany, these are the votes. And in all of this, at the end of it, he's like, oh, well, I would be the swing vote here. And then he would say another scenario, oh, I'll be the swing vote here. So Taylor said she felt like he was almost kind of threatening her in a way by saying that he would be the deciding vote depending on how he was treated and how things went in the game and how he felt personally. So his energy's a little off. It is shifted from yesterday. He is not as angry as he was, but he's still almost giving a condescending tone when talking to Taylor. Monty feels Taylor out. He asks her if Alyssa made a pitch to her, and she tells Monty that she made the girls pitch, but she's not taking her seriously, that she hasn't promised her anything. She's not going to promise her things that she can't fulfill. She says, but I really don't trust Terrence for shit after this past week, and I want him gone. Monty said he's afraid she will scoot by week after week. He said she's playing the innocent and acting like she doesn't know what's going on when she does. And Monty talks about her jury votes again to Taylor. Taylor said, it's just like my HOH week. I was thirsty for blood, and then somebody comes to me with some logic and common sense. So Taylor may be considering it. So Brittany and Taylor talk after this, and she just had the conversation with Monty, in which Monty tells her that Brittany made a final, or tried to make a final two with Turner. So it's got Taylor's wheels spinning. So her and Brittany talk, and she said, I'm just trying not to lose my shit. And she said, it's hard to see everybody talking to everybody. They talk about having plan A, which is going with Michael, her, Taylor, and Michael. Plan B would be Monty. Plan C would be Alyssa. So they're making contingency plans depending on who gets head of household. And I can see that. You got to leave your options open. However, you don't want these people talking to each other and you get caught making the same deals that you made with them with somebody else. Taylor says that she can see Terrence coming up with a master plan in order to stay in the game. And Brittany said the only thing that spooks her is the relationship between Monty and Turner. Would Monty choose us over Turner? I don't know. About that time, Turner walks in. They're in the car room. About that time, Turner walks in, and Taylor says, oh, welcome. And he's like, well, yeah, this is my room. And, or he said, yeah. And she said, yeah, this is your room. And he said, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So he comes in, and he starts doing stuff. And then Monty comes in. And all four of them sit and have a conversation because they're the four votes this week. Brittany, Taylor, Turner, and Monty. Monty says, we have Terrence and Alyssa. And he said, I really don't care which one. He said, but Alyssa has more jury votes than what Terrence would have. And Taylor said, I just can't get over last week. And he has more comps than Alyssa does. And Monty said, if she gets by next week, there's something going on because she scoots by week after week. They're talking about Alyssa. Turner said, I think it would be easier to go ahead and send her out since she's already on the block. There won't be a whole nother week of her sitting on the block after being on the block this week. And it would just be easier since they have her there to go ahead and vote her out. Monty said, regardless, if she's here next week, she needs to go on the block. They agree. Terrence gets the boot, and Alyssa's the target for next week. I think if the guys are going to stick together, that the guys would vote out Alyssa, the girls would vote out Terrence, Michael would have to break the tie, and he would send Alyssa packing. But Michael's also scared of the reaction that he's going to get from Taylor because he knows why Taylor wants Terrence out and that it is personal and he doesn't want to burn that bridge. The feeds were down tonight about 2.5 hours and I kept trying to figure out what was going on. I thought maybe goodbye messages, but it was way too early for that. It totally escaped me that today is Labor Day. So they had a Labor Day celebration. They had barbecue brought in and cupcakes and cookies and all kinds of stuff. So they turned the feeds off during their celebration, which is weird because usually when that stuff comes in, they'll turn it off long enough for them to get their stuff. And then they'll turn the feeds back on and we get to watch them celebrate. But this time they did not do that. At one point, Brittany's talking to Michael. And she says that they can't win against Turner or Taylor. And Michael says he may have a shot against Taylor. And Brittany said, no, we don't. And he says, you don't, but I do. He says, what's best for me doesn't necessarily coincide with what's best for you. He was a little aggravated with her because when he was talking to her earlier today, when they were doing their one-on-ones and everything, they were done talking. Brittany was pretty much telling him stuff that she's already told him in front of Taylor. And Taylor walked in and she asked Taylor to give her 5 minutes. Taylor leaves the room and Michael's like, why did you do that? It's like, we weren't talking about anything she couldn't hear. He's like, that was a sketchy ass move. That made us look sketchy as hell. And you need to go get her. And you need to bring her back. So Brittany goes downstairs to get Taylor. Well, evidently she's by Monty and Terrence. And so Brittany can't really get her off by herself. But Michael was not happy about that. So that's about all I have for you guys. Like I said, not a lot going on. When they know what they're going to do and there's so few people, especially when they have the backyard, there's not a lot to cover. So that gets y'all caught up until about, I don't know, 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. And I'll get back on afterwards and see what we have for tomorrow. But the noms did stay the same. Terrence and Alyssa on the block, both of them are campaigning. I don't expect there to be any changes. I expect Terrence to go home this week. But in this house, you never know. It's been a train wreck since day one. So, I also put up the video of the conversation that Jay and I had on Saturday, just discussing Big Brother past season, this season, everything Big Brother. So, you guys can also check that out. And until tomorrow, that's all I have for you guys. Have a great night. Much love.